The Dodgers' new rookie gets a retro cloth release. Here's your look at the NECA Toys Elton John Live in 75 retro cloth figure. In partnership with Elton John, NECA introduces the deluxe tribute to the legend and his profound influence on both music and fashion. The Elton John Live in 75 8-inch cloth action figure stands about 8 inches tall and sports one of the most famous stage costumes, the glammed-up baseball uniform from his October 1975 concerts at Dodgers Stadium, Los Angeles. These were the largest concerts ever by a solo artist at the time, and NECA has gone all out to commemorate the landmark occasion with a scaled piano as it appeared at the show. The deluxe set includes Elton John's baseball bat, piano bench, microphone stand, and interchangeable hands, and also 3 interchangeable heads with different expressions. It also comes in a collector-friendly window box packaging. First, before we begin, I find it a little bit funny, this feeling inside. Not one of those that can easily hide. How excited I am the fact that NECA Toys have released a retro cloth figure of Elton John himself. Now, this is the Live in 75. They are also planning to release a 76 concert Elton John, to which will also come included with a very large piano that we're looking at right now. Of course, it's not going to have the velour material on top of it, but we are going to be getting that one down the road. I think it's going to be coming out in August. I'm super excited for that. But though, while we are going to be about to have a look at this one, I'd like to also as well thank the folks, speaking of which, at NECA that did provide the sample of Elton John Live in 75 that we could have a look at in this review. I'm going to go ahead and grab the tape measure, and we're going to start first with Elton John himself. Elton John, as with most of the cases with retro cloth figures, is 8 inches in height, or the figure is going to be about 20 centimeters tall. Then as for the piano, now the piano is quite large. Some assembly was required for it as well. I think this is a Yamaha Disclavier, but we're going to go ahead. That seems to be his go-to when it comes to playing pianos. But the piano itself is quite long. It's actually, in fact, 12 inches in length, or it's going to be about 30 centimeters long. Bringing now in all the accessories that come included with the figure, there was some assembly that was required for his Yamaha piano. In fact, when you take the piano first out, you realize right away that it's missing its lower legs and the foot pedal. Technically as well, it's missing the leg at the back there as well. So you have to take the time to install these carefully, as each of them require pegs. And I would imagine this would be one of those cases there, once you get everything together for the piano, that down the road you decide you want to put the piano away. I don't know how confident I would really be to start removing the legs, just because, again, they're using a very narrow bit of clipped plastic. Removing the legs, I would imagine, would likely snap those, and you're never going to be able to get the piano back in place the way it was. The piano itself, what was nice to see was the fact that they finished the bottom of it just as well as they did to the top. I mean, easily they could have just phoned in the bottom of the piano and just made this completely hollow, or not even to the point where they would have actually put in the finished wood panels, but they did actually do that, and I'm so glad they did. You may already notice one of the downsides of having a chrome piano like this is it leaves behind fingerprints and ID. For that reason alone, I would probably just be taking a cloth repeatedly. I don't happen to have one here with me right now, but I'd probably be taking a cloth frequently and just wiping this guy down, just because it's going to be leaving fingerprints everywhere. The keys here on the front, each individual ivory key looks to be painted well. It doesn't look like there's any real paint problems at all. I do almost feel like the keys are small. I know like the piano apparently is scaled to Elton John and the way it appears in the 75 concert. Even though it does look long, I think it's scaled right to the concert. But I do feel like the keys maybe are a little too short. Maybe as like they probably could have brought the keys a little bit further out. But I would imagine these guys at NECA would have gone back and researched this to death before releasing it. And I imagine the keys are probably of the right size. They just look a little, they don't look as long as I feel like a key would be on a piano. What's rather interesting, though, is on the front of the piano, you can see he's actually got his little song playlist. I think Your Song, in fact, was the first song that he played at the 75 concert. You can correct me if I'm wrong. He's got little foot pedals down below there also as well. So it's a nice looking piano. It's finished also on the top here by a very nice blue, almost velour material. Unfortunately, it does have a little creased line right here, which I think is supposed to be there. Unfortunately, you just kind of see it for the fact that it's obviously very much there. There's also a line here at the back, but it's something you can kind of scuff out, kind of remove away. But I do notice like there's a little, well, you can see a line right there across the top of the piano. But I love the fact that they actually use the velour material also as well. Okay, so for his accessories, the figure comes included with his piano bench. Now it starts yellow, but further into the concert, I believe it actually switches over to a blue cushioned seat. What we actually get though is the starting yellow cushion, which is fine. It does have some nice wood finish to the side, kind of more of a dark chestnut brown, and they've actually finished the bottom of it as well. Unlike though in the concert, this one actually I think actually says NECA. Maybe it actually does. Let me just flip it around. Yeah, I think it does. But it's a nice overall seat. I mean, it does look to the naked eye that it would actually have padding to it, but it's all just like hard plastic. So he comes included with that. At one point, he's obviously sitting down at the piano to play it. Other times, he's actually standing up and sort of hovering around the seat. So there's two ways of obviously displaying the figure in that sense. The figure also comes included with his mic stand. The mic stand did include did require some assembly. You had to take the bottom half of it. Just got to get it tangled by the mic wire here. There we go. You get this part of the mic stand, which is obviously the bottom tripod piece of it, and then of course you get the main neck of it. When you are putting it in place, it's not quite a full circle. In fact, it's actually a half circle. So when you are putting it into the bottom of the stand, it may not go right away. You may have to just twist it to make sure you've got lined up shapes. The stand then angles up. It's a little on the loose side, unfortunately, though. I may have to see if I can kind of tighten that up a little bit. But you can have the mic stand to the point where, or at least you can have the mic to more the seated position, but the further you have it, the further you have it down, it starts to droop, unfortunately. So I'm going to maybe see if I can take some floor polish, maybe, I don't know, put a coat or so on that just to tighten that up just a little bit. I mean, it's fine if you have it higher up when Elton is standing, but if you have him sitting down, for example, at the piano, then you're going to notice that the piano, unfortunately, or the mic will start to drop on him. Speaking of mics, though, I just want to bring your attention to this mic. Now, I think most of the concert, in fact, he has a different mic than what we're getting right here. He has more of a cylinder black mic, where it has a smaller mouthpiece on the end of it. This is the silver mouthpiece, which I think he actually has later into the concert. But most of the concert, if you go back and watch the 75, he doesn't actually have this mic. It's more of just an all black mic instead. It has a wire that attaches to the back of it. It doesn't really attach to anything, but it's kind of a wire frame, so you can kind of move it around if you wanted to. And of course, you can then take Elton John. You can either have him then standing over top of it, just bend the figure just a little bit. You can have him then hovering over the piano playing. Or you can also, of course, take the figure, bring his legs forward, really squeaky on this figure, and then you just want to bend the knees, just like that. Then we can go ahead and bring his arms up. That will allow him, of course, to play the piano, and then you can also sit him down at the bench there as well. So there's that option to play have the figure playing the piano, two different ways. Move the mic stand over here for a second. I guess we can also pick up Elton John here. We'll also move this over also here for a second as well. Getting a closer look at Elton John. Now, obviously, this is Elton John wearing his 75 suit, the baseball jersey, and it's nicely done here. I really think they've done a great job of replicating the suit. The suit itself has a very nice shine finish to it. Although, unfortunately, one thing you may want to be careful of is if you have any frayed threads like this, resist any urge that you have to actually start pulling this, because the more you pull it, the more you're going to damage this. If you happen to have these little loose threads like this, I would recommend right away, take a little pair of scissors, just kind of trim off the excess. Don't pull it, because I think the more you pull it, the more you're going to damage it. Here in the front, you've got Elton John. A little below the belt, you can also see here as well, he's got one. And it's, again, a really nice recreation of the suit that he has. He has also the belt. The belt attaches by Velcro, so if you wanted to remove the belt, I don't know why you really would want to, you have the means to do that as well. All the way down to the bottom of the pants. I mean, again, he's got the stars. Well, not quite stars. They're kind of more white polka dots. But the use of the metallic blue that they've added to the lower legs, as well as what he has there also in the forearms, it's a really nice looking figure. Unfortunately, though, getting this guy out of his box, one thing I did notice right away is it left behind a stain. Now, these are the hands that he has all the time, unless you take this guy, get him home, and change out the hands. If not for that, he's always going to have these hands defaulted in the box. Unfortunately, with that, being that I guess the sleeve was sitting so long against the plastic, it left behind, unfortunately, a little bit of a blue residue. So I might see if I can actually try to clean that off a bit. Excuse me. Rolling up the sleeve just a little bit, you can also see as well it left behind a bit of a stain there on the form. And the form that they used is a different plastic than the hands. But honestly, though, if you're going to have the sleeve down anyways, you're never going to notice the fact that the plastic is a different material. All this time, we never really got the chance to look at Elton John's head sculpt, and I'm really happy with how this one turned out. You get actually 3 different head sculpts. There's this one where he's sort of looking to the side. Then you get this one here, which is very similar, although he's smiling this time around, and he is looking straight forward. In both the cases, before we actually look at the singing head sculpt, all of them actually are also wearing the Elton John baseball cap that is just studded with all this additional blue detailing. He also has, again, the little pearls that he has on the front of it, done also nicely here in white. It's a really nice looking head sculpt. I'm happy with all of these. There's actually also a third one. Let's just see if I can hold this one here. We're also going to bring in the singing head sculpt. There's 3 choices to choose from when it comes to displaying Elton for your collection. In all the cases, he does have the glasses. Unfortunately, though, none of the cases have a removable hat, because there's a couple of times, of course, he's playing in the concert without the hat. I really wish that they could have included it, but maybe Elton John himself didn't want to have a thinning hairpiece, a thinning head sculpt, so maybe they just wanted to stick with a ball cap instead. To change out the heads, we're going to go ahead and just... Now, careful doing this, by the way. You don't want to put a lot of pressure against his large rimmed glasses, but you want to kind of hold on to it from the side. Just pull it off carefully, carefully, carefully. And while you're doing this also as well, you want to just make sure that you're not putting too much pressure on the ball cap, because if you put too much pressure against the rim, you may potentially break that off. Let's go ahead and pop on the singing head sculpt right there. And it may involve just a little bit of heating to get that in place. That's what the singing head sculpt looks like. Really, of the 3, it's my favorite, I think, of the head sculpts. I don't think I have it all the way on there, but at least it will serve for right now. Again, if you're having any problems to change the head, why am I pointing as I'm saying this? Heat these first in hot water, then pop it onto the ball joint. I did it earlier, but I guess the time has elapsed long enough that it's cooled too much for me to get it easily on there. So he's going to have a little bit of a lift of his neck for at least right now. The other accessories that the figure comes included with, getting him to stand for at least right now. The figure comes also included. Now, he's got piano playing hands right now, but he also has gripping hands for the next accessory that we're also going to be looking at. The figure comes included with a baseball bat. The baseball bat is very nicely painted here. Quite clean also as well. You've got the more darker coloring of the tan to the top, and then the way it's wrapped at the bottom here is kind of a more lighter beige color. It does fit into his hands, though honestly not easy. I've already taken the liberty of heating this hand in hot water, and you can get the bat in there, although again, with the time that's elapsed, it's not the easiest thing to do, of course, right now. But I would certainly say if you're having any problems to get the hands to hold the bat, or even like just the head, for example, the neck to hold the head, heat anything before you start to force it in there. It's still soft enough, at least on this hand, but this hand, unfortunately, with a closer grip, this hand is actually, I would imagine, designed to hold further down on the bat, but it's already cooled too much for me to try to pry this away. The plastic actually that they've used is a fairly hard plastic, so just be careful of that. The figure also does have a pointing hand, so if you wanted to have him pointing away as he's got the bat in his hand, or just pointing to the crowd as he's singing his classics, there's that hand to also choose from as well. Put that to the side. As for the figure's articulation, picking up Elton John here, again, I don't have his head all the way on there, so bear with me here. The head does look down, it does look up, and it does rock back and forth as well. I think I would imagine I'm going to wrap up the review in the way that I started the review, with looking at only Elton John by himself, simply just by the size of this piano. There's no way I'd be able to fit that on my tiny little turntable. Anyways, the head does rotate all the way around, it does look down, it does look up, and it does rock back and forth. That's providing, of course, you got the head far enough down there on the ball peg. The arms, I should say, do come out at 90 degrees. No problems with that. You can move the arms forward. In fact, you can rotate them all the way around. Just going to bunch up the fabric as you're doing it. There's a bicep swivel. There is a single hinge, it seems. Actually, there might be a double hinge on the elbow, and the hands rotate also all the way around. The figure has an upper torso ball joint. The figure does have a split on the legs, which, again, are very noisy when you're doing it. The legs go forward very, very noisily, and they also move back equally noisily. And the thigh, the top of the thigh, does rotate. The figure does have what seems only to be a single hinge on the knee, but then he does also have the articulation in his sneakers. Did I get a chance to really show you guys the sneakers? If I didn't, that's what they look like. It's like looking at Elton John's costume, just scaled down just a little bit. But the ankles allow at least the feet to move back and forth this way, and you can also rock them back and forth this way as well. All in all, great looking figure. As already mentioned, they are going to be releasing a 76 version of Elton John, which I think has like the stars and stripes outfit. I like to look at this one quite a lot, though. The thing about the piano, though, is obviously it's going to be taking up a lot more space than your traditional retro cloth figures. But if you get the chance and you're a big fan of Elton John and you love the 75 concert, great pickup from the folks over at NECA Toys. A tad on the awkward side, not having Elton John with the piano in front of him, but when you get lemons, you have to make lemonade. I just don't simply have the capacity with this smaller sized turntable to accommodate such a long piano. The piano, from as far as I know, is scaled accurately to the way it was in the concert. It does come across a little on the longer side, but But if it is accurate to the way it was in the concert, that just goes to show that Elton John likes to do everything big. That includes the larger Yamaha pianos that he plays. Here, though, in final looks, unfortunately, while not having the piano, I've still got the figure sitting down here on his piano bench, along with the mic stand then in front of him. You can then guess for yourself what song he's singing to the rest of the crowd there. What is your favorite, by the way, Elton John song? Let me know down below in the comments section. This one, though, turned out to be a great-looking figure. There are a few little things, like the staining that's left behind on the hands, for example, the little fraying of thread that he has on his silver suit. You just want to be careful when it comes to that. Resist any urge that you may have to start pulling the thread, because I would imagine if you continue to pull the thread will continue to unravel, and you're going to end up damaging poor Elton John's suit. As already, though, mentioned, we are going to be getting a 76 version of Elton John, which, again, I'm super excited for. But if you are a big fan of Elton John, like I said, this would be a great one to pick up and add to your collection. Big thank you once again to the folks over at NECA Toys that did provide the sample of the live in 75 Elton John, complete with piano, though not complete in final looks with a piano. I just didn't have the space to fit it all in there. If you guys enjoyed this video, why not hit with a like? If you guys are loving the content you guys are seeing and certainly on board to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below, and you're also turning on the bell notification. If you have a little also time on your hands and you have nothing really to do, popping up at the very end of this video, shamelessly plugging a playlist for NECA. We'll cover off everything I've ever looked for NECA toys. So if you have, again, a little bit of time on your hands and you want to watch some more NECA reviews, check out the playlist. Yeah, it's popping up at the very end of the video. Lots of stuff coming your way, guys. So as always, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.